everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'll be explaining you about introduction to bricks. So we'll be seeing a few points like what is the definition of a brick and what actually is the brick made up of. So what do you call it as brick earth? So what is the composition of this brick earth, and also what are the harmful ingredients in this brick earth? What should be the range of percentages of the composition in the brick earth? That is all we have to we'll be learning today in this video. Okay, so you can see on the screen, those are the bricks what you see in your daily life, which look red in color. They are basically made up of clay. On burning of clay they become that color. So if you can see, the basic terminology related to bricks is you have a frog. So you can see in the diagram, so you have that small projection where you can see the logo of the company, whoever is manufacturing. That place is called as a frog, and then the shorter side of the brick is called as the header, and the longer side, the lengthwise dimension of the brick is called as stretcher. So let's get into more detail about header, stretcher and frog in the later on classes. This is a basic introduction class all about what is the basic composition of the brick earth and what the harmful ingredients will cover here. And also what is the classification of brick earth, means whatever clay we are using for the manufacture of bricks, what are the different types of clays available also we will see. So as told earlier, bricks are nothing but it is artificially molded clay. So you are molding the clay artificially, and then you try to mold it in the form of a rectangular shape, and then you try to dry and burn it to get the strength, right? So we just mix up clay and water. We try to make the paste, and then you put it in a mold, and then you dry it to the sunlight, or artificial drying you can do, and then you can burn it. So then the so-called product whatever you obtain is called as a brick. Next is, what are the uses of bricks? So you can all observe in the diagrams we have many uses for bricks. So most of you have seen usage of bricks in construction of walls, right? So construction of walls, floors and retaining walls. So if wherever you have any soil which is falling off, you try to construct a retaining wall that can be made with the help of a brick. So you can see in this diagram the retaining wall. Then you have arches. See here, you have a beautiful arch made up of a brick. Then you have a column, and also you have a chimney and various ornamental works. Whatever you want to do, you can do it using a brick. Next, coming to the composition of good brick earth, means here the term brick earth means it is the soil which is used for making brick. Okay, so according to IS 217, sorry, so IS 2117 is the code book which specifies what should be the percentage of each composition in brick. What should be the composition of the brick, means what minerals must be there, what oxides must be there, and what should be the range of values should be there for getting a good brick. That is all mentioned in this IS 2117 of year 1991. So one has to take care that to get a good brick which is durable in all forms, then you have to follow this or refer this code, right? First component is clay or alumina. So generally brick earth is also called as clay. So the main constituent in clay is alumina. So alumina, the percentage of alumina should be around 20 to 30% by weight of the sample you are taking. Means, for example, if you are taking 100 grams of clay in your hands, then in that 100 grams around 30 grams weightage should be with alumina. And what is the main function of this alumina? The alumina is the one which absorbs the water and gives the plastic nature to the clay. I think generally you people make toys with the clay, right? You make small idols, small figures, small what you call sculptures with the help of clay, right? So many people start making different types of toys using clay when you were a kid or when you're grown up. So you can observe, right, when you add water to clay it becomes plastic, so you can mold the clay to any shape you want. That's due to the presence of alumina in the clay. So one should understand that the percentage of alumina should be around 30%, and if it becomes excess, it can produce cracks. And if it is less, then it doesn't make your clay plastic, means you cannot mold the clay into any shape you want. So see that the percentage of alumina is ranging around 20 to 30%. Next component is silt. So silt is nothing but the deposition. Why? Because we are taking clay which is naturally available on the earth surface, which is not at all artificial. That will be mixed up with some silt content in it. So that silt content must be around 20 to 35% by weight of the sample. Same if you're taking around 100 grams of clay, the silt content should be around 30 or 35 grams. And one important thing this silt will do, what is the function of silt in clay, is that it will give the sharp edges to your bricks. Means once you're placing the clay into the mold, once you take out from the mold, the clay should retain the same sharp edges shape. So that's due to silt, and it also helps in making the shape to remain constant, whether during the process of drying or during the process of burning. Next is the most important component or composition in your clay is silica. So silica weightage is around 50 percentage. So imagine if you are taking 100 grams of clay, your silica must be around 50 grams. So around half of the weight is silica. So silica is the one which is imparting strength to your bricks, right? So it means that you cannot use more than 50%. So if I'm using more silica, I'll get more strength, means it's wrong. Everything should be in a given limit. What happens if it is becoming excess? It will make your brick very brittle, means like a biscuit. If you just break it, it will break very easily. So it should be within the permissible limits according to our code book. So if you take 100 grams of clay sample, 30% is your, around 20 to 30% is your alumina. Say it is 20%. Then around 30% is your silt. So 20 plus 30 is 50, and silica is 50%. So totally 100 grams. So these are the main three ingredients in your brick earth, means the earth or the soil whichever you are taking to manufacture your brick. Other than these three major ingredients, you may have a scope for other ingredients also in your soil or the earth, whatever you are using to make your brick. But remember that they all should be less than 2% by weight. Means if your 100 grams is your sample, these all ingredients whatever we'll talk in the next 2 minutes will be should be less than 2%. If you add sum up all the weights of these ingredients, it should be less than 2%. The first ingredient is lime. One has to be very careful with lime because even though it has an advantage that it is preventing the shrinkage, it is making your brick harder, but if it is in excess, it can melt your brick, means it will keep always your brick moist, so hence it will not be dried up, and hence its shape will be lost. So lime should be less than 2%, and if it is less than 2%, it will obviously help in the reduction of shrinkage, so that shrinkage crack will not be formed. It will make your brick harder, means it can resist when your brick is your brick surface is hitted by or scratched by any other surface, it will make it hard, but excess of it can make your brick lose its shape. We have iron oxide. Whatever I have shown you on the first slide, the red color brick you are seeing, how is that red color coming? That's due to iron oxide. Okay, it is the one which gives that color to your brick, and it also improves the impermeable nature of your brick. So means it makes your brick very much resistive towards water penetrating into it or any other liquid penetrating into it. Not only liquid, water, gases, air, anything. Next we have magnesia. Magnesia is also helpful in color contribution, but remember that if it is excess in quantity, it will obviously decay your bricks. Next we have manganese. Again, excess of manganese will make your brick look darker in color. So if you see somewhere when you're just moving around near the bricks, wherever they are laid at any construction site, some of the bricks look very dark in color. So they look a little bit weird. They look a little darker color of red or a little bit maroon color, little bit brownish color. That's due to excessive presence of manganese. And next we have sodium potassium alkalis. These are basically called alkalis. Remember, these alkalis will try to decolor your bricks. Means they make your bricks look lighter than the original color. Okay? And you can see in the diagram, the white patches, whatever are formed on the bricks, is due to these alkalis. So whether you take stone or brick, one has to be careful with the alkali content. So these are the compositions what we have seen. Now let's see what are the harmful ingredients basically. One harmful ingredient is lime, as I've told you. Why? Because if it is in excess, if it is greater than 2%, it will change the shape of your brick. Then we have iron pyrites, means ferric oxide. Within the limits, it is giving good color, but if it is more than 2%, it will split your brick into pieces. Your brick becomes very easily breakable into small pieces. Salts, as I've told you, salts will give a very bad effect. They decay your bricks. There should not be any pebbles or lumps, means during the mixing process anywhere when you're mixing on the floor or somewhere you can get some other stone or any pebbles inside, so that may disturb the appearance of the brick, so one has to be careful with it. Next, vegetation and organic matter. So once vegetation and organic matter come into action, you get a lot of voids in the brick. So if there are voids in your brick, if you don't properly compact, there are voids in the brick, there is a chance for bacteria or any microorganism to enter inside. If water enters inside the pores, what will happen? Your brick becomes moist and hence vegetation will start taking place. Small plant will come out from that. And also be careful with salty water, as I've told you. Even though your earth, the soil, whatever you're using to manufacture brick is not having alkalis, but you have to be careful with the water what you are pouring. The water is having salts, again the same issue. So you get this patches. Next, coming to requirements of good brick earth. What qualities should your soil used for manufacture of brick should possess? It should have required proportion of clay, sand and other ingredients. So whatever we have talked about, all the ingredients, all the composition, they all should be in the exact limits. They must be free from pebbles, as told earlier, organic matter, any lumps. They should be free from all the harmful ingredients just now we discussed. And it should be homogeneous on thorough mixing. So once you mix the what do you call, the raw materials, they should look homogeneous. No changes in color, no changes in textures like that. It should be free from other impurities, yes, of course. It should not allow more shrinkage and cracks. Yes. And next, coming to classification of brick earth, as told, this soil, whatever you're using, the earth, whatever you're using for manufacture of bricks is of three types. Loamy, mild or sandy clay. Second one is malts, chalky or calcareous clay. Third one is plastic strong or pure clay. So these three kinds of clay is available. Let's see what are the features of each type of clay. The first one is loamy, mild or sandy clay. So what is this loamy, mild or sandy clay? What is it is having? As the word itself it is telling, it is sandy clay, means major part of this type of clay is sand, means it is silica. Okay, it consists of free silica, excess silica. Okay, as told earlier, silica will help you in giving strength, hardness to the brick, but also one has to be careful with the percentage. Next, yeah, sorry for the disturbance. So next we have the second classification, which is malts, chalky or calcareous clay. So as the word itself it is specifying, this clay will have calcium abundant in it. So major part of this clay is all about calcium. All right, so this calcium will show a good, I mean, it gets very easily mixed up with the alumina and silica present in the clay. But to desire, we already talked about the harmful ingredient called lime. So lime is calcium, all are the same. So what you have to do is when you have a chance, you have no other chance that you have to use only this clay, then you try to add some sand to it. Next is the last one, which is plastic strong or pure clay. So it means that this clay consists of good amount of alumina, good amount of silica, and hence it is called strong clay or fat clay. But one has to remember that the raw bricks, whatever you are doing before drying process, they will crack and they may change their size, and hence we cannot use this pure clay. One has to use any ash or sand along with it. Okay, the outside sand also one has to use it. Then only you can get the good type of brick. So this is all about the classification of good brick earth. So thank you so much for watching.